ministry of Hollywood Faith Christian Center in beautiful Hollywood, Florida. We welcome you today. We start today in Acts 27. Now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. Now this is Paul on a shipboard. He is heading to Rome, but they run into some trouble at sea, and there are storms, and the ship Paul was told that if they stayed together, that no one would lose their life, and they would just lose the ship. Now that's pretty amazing when you think about it. And of course they ran the ship aground. Now the Bible tells us that there were 276 passengers and crew and soldiers on that ship, so it's really quite large. But not one of them was lost. Now that is extraordinary, and that is a major miracle. And just to give you an example, when the Ville de Havre went down in 1873, 226 passengers perished. Only 87 people survived. That was, of course, the ship where Horatio Spafford's family lost his children when the Ville de Havre was sunk in the middle of the Atlantic. The Titanic went down in 1912. 1,500 people perished, and only 740 survived. But God intervened in the case of Paul here, and all 276 people survived. And Paul, the Bible says that it's because you have to get to Rome and you need to preach to the emperor. Well, because Paul had petitioned as a Roman citizen that he could petition to be taken to the emperor to appeal his case. Now, the problem was, of course, that Nero is the emperor at this point, and he hates Christians. And it says in Acts 27, when it was day, they did not recognize the land, but they observed a bay with a beach, which they had planned to run the ship aground, but they wound up, hitting the rocks, and it broke up. But the amazing part is still that nobody died. Everybody managed to, and a lot of people couldn't swim in those days, and a lot of crews of ships couldn't swim. Yet they all managed to survive. Now, when they had escaped, they found out that the island was called Malta, and the natives showed an unusual kindness, for they kindled a fire and made us all welcome because of the rain that was falling and because of the cold. And when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, a viper came out because of the heat and fastened on his hand. And so when the natives saw this, they assumed that he was going to die. But Paul shook the snake off into the fire, and nothing happened to him. And they kept waiting for him to swell up and die, as viper bites are extremely poisonous, and nothing happened. Well, why? And these signs will follow those who believe. In my name they will cast out demons, and they will speak in new tongues. They will take up serpents, and if they drink anything deadly, they will by no means hurt them. And they will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover. These are the signs in Mark 16:17. But because of this, they take Paul to a leading citizen whose name was Publius, who received us and entertained us for 3 days. But Publius's father was sick, and so Paul laid hands on him, and he was healed. And people started bringing people that were sick to Paul, and they had a little mini revival right there. And the Bible says that you will hit an island you don't know the name of. You're going to taken to a land, and they were taken to Malta, which they didn't even know what it was. But this is God again, God intervening in the affairs of men and saying, I'm going to show these people that you are in a supernatural realm, and I'm going to use you to have revival in that little country. But still, the object is for Paul to get to Rome. Somehow he's got to get to Rome, and there's no chance of surviving under the Emperor Nero, and who hated Christians. But those words would bring about, 300 years later, turn the whole of Rome and the empire to Christianity. The Emperor Constantine will get saved because of a vision that he had, and he becomes a Christian. And all of a sudden, there is a new tolerance for Christians, and by another 40 years, all of the Roman Empire will become Christian. And that's because Paul needed to speak to the very throne in Rome. His words needed to penetrate, and I am sure Nero was not interested in what he had to say, but he had to listen to it anyway. And 300 years later, God would use those words to create his church and the power that was invested in Rome. God bless you.